was going down to put my knee on him, and next thing you know, his left hand, he pulled another gun. I started yelling, there's another gun, there's another gun.
One of the people who stopped the Pawtucket, Rhode Island hockey rink shooter sharing how those tense moments unfolded. Only here on 5, the shooter killed 2 family members and injured 3 others before taking his own life. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ben Simoneau.
And I'm Jessica Brown in for Erica. We just got an update from police at Pawtucket a short time ago. We know the suspect is Robert Dorgan. He was there watching his high school son play in the game. He killed his ex-wife and one of his sons. He also injured his ex-wife's mother and father, as well as a family friend. Dorgan then took his own life, but police are still trying to figure out why he did what he did. Our live team coverage from Pawtucket continues tonight. First to our David Bieniek with an interview you'll see only on 5. David.
Good afternoon, Jessica. Yes, Michael Black is a local businessman and a father here. He has no military training, no law enforcement background. He says he had come to this game yesterday afternoon to watch a friend's son play. He's not the only one who jumped into action, but he was the first.
I was watching the game, the hockey game, and then when I heard the pop, it sounded like 2 very large balloons. I mean, really, because you had an echo noise in there. When I looked to where the area was where I thought the balloons were popping, which was right in front of me, when I heard the 3rd pop, there was no balloon. So then that was when I recognized that there was a possible gunshot. My wife was sitting next to me. When I looked around, I saw the gun, and I told her and her friends to run. I said, run. And then I said, run. And without any hesitation, they all got up. I hesitated for about a second. You'll see it on the video. I hesitated for a second because I was looking at him. And as soon as the people cleared is when I got up on the next step and jumped. I jumped with my left hand, grabbing the gun and trying to put my body on top of him. And what happened was my hand, if you see my hand, it got caught in the chamber of the gun. So once the hand got inside of the chamber and I had it flat, he was trying to pull the trigger. And once he did that, he kind of pushed me off, which I rolled off. He then stood up, you see that, and then I was fortunate enough that there was 2 or 3 other gentlemen, one tried to put him in a chokehold, one tried to subdue him, and then that's when he fell back down. So he fell back down at my feet. And when I was bending down, I was attempting to put my knee or subdue him and hold him down, and next thing you know, in his left pocket, he pulled out another gun. Same thing as the first one, the one I was holding, he pulled out a sister gun on that, and then I started saying he has another gun, there's another gun, and he took it, put it right in his mouth and shot himself.
Michael Black tells me that he has 9 stitches in his hand from where he grabbed the shooter's gun. He also has a burn mark on his lip, he says, from one of the bullet casings that hit him in the face when the initial shots were fired. He did go to the hospital, but has since been released. Live in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, David Bieniek, WCVB News Center 5.
Wow, I'm glad he's okay. David, thank you. Our Emily Maha continues our coverage live in Pawtucket, where we're learning more about those who were killed and injured in the shooting. Emily.
Well, Jessica, we just walked out of a press conference where the police chief says there was no indication that Robert Dorgan had any violent tendencies. She says right now they're working to piece together a timeline of his whereabouts in the days leading up to the shooting. And tonight, we're learning the names of the people who were shot. The police chief says Robert Dorgan targeted his family, shooting and killing his ex-wife Rhonda, their son Aiden, and his former in-laws Linda and Gerald Dorgan, and a family friend, Thomas Geruso. She says at this point, it does not appear there was any confrontation or conversation between Dorgan and the family before he started shooting.
This individual had responded to hockey games in the past to watch their son play hockey, and that this was not unusual for them to respond to watch a hockey game. Again, there was no indication from the family or friends that any violence was underway or that they were in fear of this specific individual.
Now, the chief says they have been combing through videos from the moments leading up to, during, and after that shooting. Investigators have determined Dorgan entered the ice rink, left, and then returned. Coming up at 6, where investigators are searching right now and who they're working with to find answers. Live in Pawtucket, Emily Maha, WCVB News Center 5.
All right, thanks to Emily for that. And the support from not only the community in and around Pawtucket, but also the hockey world has been overwhelming. Just hours after the shooting, hockey players across New England put their sticks outside their front doors, showing solidarity for those on and off the ice at Lynch Arena. That's where we find our Todd Kiskiewicz covering this part of the story tonight. Todd.
Ben, the show of support that started yesterday is continuing today, both here at the arena and all over the area.
It's really sad. It should never have happened.
William Soares and Ethan Kasht are bringing flowers to the growing memorial outside the Dennis Lynch Arena, one day after a family they know well suffered a horrific and public act of domestic violence.
But I know the son of the family, obviously, not the son that was unfortunately injured and killed, but the son that was playing on the rink, you know. We do a lot of like bonfires and stuff with them. We all hang out with them.
For these two teens, the deadly shooting is personal. But even people who do not have a personal connection are deeply affected by this tragedy.
We just felt like we had to come down here because we're Attleboro, the next town over.
The rink has been busy all day. In the morning, investigators were still working in the building. By midday, this school bus from Coventry arrived. Hockey equipment was carried out and loaded onto the bus. By afternoon, the hazmat team arrived to clean up a nightmare that can never be forgotten.
Oh, I want to come pay respect because I really do know the brother decently. I've been close with him for a little bit now, so it's unfortunate. The brother didn't deserve it. The mom didn't deserve it. Everybody in the hospital, nobody deserved it, you know?
And a live look at the front of the Dennis Lynch Arena where the hazmat team is still working inside at this hour. The shooting is impacting numerous communities and there's a lot of support being offered. Here in Pawtucket, the city is offering trauma services. Those are being offered over at the Blackstone Valley Visitor Center on Main Street. That's open until 7 o'clock tonight. Reporting live in Pawtucket, Todd Kiskiewicz, WCVB News Center 5.
Todd, thank you. And there will be a vigil in less than an hour at the Slatersville Congregational Church in North Smithfield. It's about a half-hour drive north of the arena. The church says everyone is welcome. It starts at 6. Arjon Atwater is there ahead of the vigil and will join us live ahead at 5:30.
And if you or someone you know needs help, call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That number nationally is 988. Help is available 24 hours a day. This, of course, a story we'll continue to stay on top of in the days, weeks, and months to come. When we are not on the air, look for the latest updates on the investigation on our website and inside our app.